Yeah, so this is going to be a video about one image that appears in one tweet that simply tells us that Elden Ring's DLC is coming.
Cool.
And I'm going to try and make this a good video because, yes, I am going to present some truly unhinged speculation about the contents of the DLC, but most importantly, this is actually the perfect excuse to discuss a few things that we haven't dived into yet on this channel.
Okay.
For example, we've yet to discuss Torrent, whose mysterious origins are clearly being teased here, and I also want to talk about the dark side of the Erdtree, which is absolutely a huge part of the lore already. So my goal in this video, even if my predictions are wrong, is to at least gear you up with some knowledge about the game's lore that you can
I'm hoping that this person is... even though I fucking love Miquella insanely, I'm hoping that this has to do with Godwyn and Destined Death.
take
Because
with you
look how
no
black
matter
the
where
tree
the
is.
DLC actually takes us. And my other goal with this video is to let you know that my art book is currently 10% off for a limited time.
Probably Bob. Maybe.
First and foremost, let's talk about who is riding Torrent in
Yeah.
this image, because out of everything I talk about in this video, this is the thing that I'm most certain of. Now, at first, when I saw this, my mind went immediately to it being Queen Marika,
Oh, okay.
because of that braided golden hair. They're also riding Torrent sitting in a side saddle manner, which was historically a way for a woman to sit on horseback with dignity while wearing a dress.
True. By the way, this is probably one of the best speculations if you think about it, and it does have a plot twist, because what if Marika wanted to debate you into going there, into restoring the Elden Ring, and then you marry her? Because unless you take the Rani ending or the Frenzied Flame, I'm pretty certain that this is what happens, that you get, you are her lord.
The character is also wearing a similarly placed upper armband.
Yes.
So, while it's definitely possible that this could be a young Marika, I still think that that's nowhere near as likely as the alternative I'm about to suggest, which is that this person is Miquella,
Yeah.
who was one of Marika's many demigod children. So, item descriptions and dialogue all refer to Miquella as a he. However, Miquella does have the feminine side to match the person riding Torrent in this image. Like literally, they have a feminine alter ego called Saint Trina. If any of this is news to you, then I recommend you go and watch my recent 47-minute long lore video on Miquella that explains so much about their character. But in that video, I talked about all the known statues of Miquella, which feature them in a long garb that actually cuts off at the elbow, and looking back, this is the exact same garb that this character is wearing. What's more, the hair here, while it is braided, like Marika's, it's also long and flowing and...
Yeah, this is something that we watched in the opening cinematic for Elden Ring, right? You can clearly see the resemblance right here. I'm curious if you will cover Godwyn at all.
The style is identical to Miquella's, as you can clearly see in the opening cinematic. Marika's hair, by contrast, is always symbolically depicted as two standalone braids. And not to mention, depictions of Marika are always of her in full womanhood, but this figure is meek and they're childlike by comparison.
True.
So, in my eyes, this is definitely Miquella, who was cursed to eternal childhood. Also,
We could also like make some comparisons, like if you zoom very close to the face and try to check out the angle of the nose, but I don't really think that we get to see Marika's face clearly ever, only Radagon.
Guys, this is definitely Miquella, who was cursed to eternal childhood. Also, in regards to the tweet, it does say, "Rise tarnished and let us walk a new path together," which kind of reminds me of what I said in the recent Miquella video, where I speculated a lot about how Miquella's intent might be to plant a new world order, and perhaps to walk a new path.
I mean, ever since the beginning, Miquella wanted, like, that was the intent with Tree, right? To create his own tree, to create his own path, to create a whole different consensus in the lands between, right? Fun fact, because as he says, let's embark upon this journey together, there were like scrap dialogue in this game that was supposed to revolve more about Malenia and the protagonist, us, and it was talking about companionship, like as if we somehow knew each other. There's a lot of speculation regarding that part. So This is not entirely off basis. Actually, this is not out of basis at all. Like, this thing makes sense.
So, if we are correctly assuming that this is Mikola, then we can also finally start to unravel the mystery surrounding Torrent, your spectral steed. And that's important, because Torrent is not just some random mount. He's a full-on character, and for whatever reason, he chose you as his tarnished.
He's also
down
terrible.
to the very moment where he sniffs you out.
He's hideous. Like, when I say he's hideous, I mean, bro, you look at this majestic bull horse, and it looks so amazing, and in-game, it just gets one hit. Like, from the later zones, like, it just gets one-tapped, and then it gets desummoned, and now you're staggered, and then you're dead. This is not a magnificent, like, horse, Torrent thingy, right? This is a fucking donkey.
In the stranded graveyard, Melina is actually an unwitting part of this plan to find and guide you. She has no real memory or knowledge of whatever plot that she's a part of.
She's a tool,
beyond
unfortunately.
following Torrent's own guidance, which...
Bro, I hope that in this fucking DLC, they allow us to... So, okay, spoiler alert, right? You can embark upon the Frenzied Flame journey, like, to go and do the Frenzied ending. Melina will abandon you, but with the Needle of Mikola, you know, you can change the ending and you can actually choose a different ending. But Melina never really addresses this. She tells you that I will find you and I will kill you, right? This is what she's gonna do. I'm hoping that they just add into this some knowledge, you know, like what's happening over there. Can we actually save her? What happens if we choose the Frenzied Flame ending and we do save Melina? Will she find us in the DLC? Will she try to kill us? What is gonna happen over there? Like, there are so many questions regarding this one character. And this is why I love this game. They're like, they start down as one path, and then immediately, thousands of paths. What's gonna happen with X, with Y, with Z? Just bloody amazing.
She then passes on to you by giving you a golden ring, which doubles as a whistle. Someone who does seem to know a bit more about Torrent is Rani, who, you might remember, at the very start of the game, entrusts you with 3 lone wolf spirits,
In
and
the
they
church.
give you a spirit calling bell as well, and Rani says that these are from Torrent's former master.
I'd heard tell of a tarnished hurtling about atop a spectral steed.
Yes.
I was entrusted this for thee, by Torrent's former master.
Now, you could argue that she's referring to Melina as Torrent's former master here, but then
I agree
that doesn't
after
really make sense, because why would Rani bother to hide Melina's identity as Torrent's former master if we've met Melina already? So I think that Torrent's former master is surely some other third party. Someone who is clearly very in tune with spirits, considering Torrent is himself a spirit, and considering the spirit calling bell and the 3 lone wolves are all from the same person. Speaking of the 3 wolf spirits, there's actually a relief in Farah Missoula that depicts 3 wolves crowded around a small, slight figure. Whoever owned Torrent would have also owned the 3 wolf spirits, so I've always wondered if this image was depicting Torrent's former master. And whoever Torrent's former master was, they were someone that was able to compel both Melina and Rani to seek you out on their behalf. My best guess until now was that it was Marika doing this, as we know she goes to great lengths to help the Tarnished. Even Hugh forges weapons for you on Marika's behalf, and he even speaks of a spirit caller that he once knew. So yeah, I always thought the spirit caller might have been Marika until now, because considering this image, I think we really have to entertain the possibility that Torrent's former master could have been Mikola. As you may know, Mikola had a famous ability to compel the affection
to be
and
loved by
loyalty
everyone.
of others. So it's also very easy to think then that Rani, Melina, Torrent, and even Hugh might have intervened to assist you on Mikola's behalf. Mikola was also a talented craftsman who might have crafted the golden spectral steed whistle ring. Anyway, for now this is just all speculation, but at the very least, I think we are getting closer to learning about Torrent's former master here, for sure. And finally, what's with the dark Erdtree in the distance?
Yeah, like, my speculation is that this has something to do with destined death. Like, it doesn't look like burn, you know? Like, when you burn it, it looks like red. I know that after that it would, like, be the ashes, but look at this. When you check out Radagon, he seems in that similar state, with his one hand being normal, you know, but the other hand being destroyed. Like, if Radagon, for example, right here, images. Look at this. Look at this. Like, look at the coloration in here. How dark but there is the glow of light, but at the same time there is the darkness, right? Look how it is depicted, and it gives me a lot of vibes towards that, especially knowing that Maliketh was like the dog of Marika, who is actually Radagon.
This is the last thing I want to discuss because this is the thing I think you can be the least sure of, and I'm kind of just going to throw a lot of theories at the wall and see if anything sticks.
Okay.
But it's a really fascinating concept. So whatever this tree is, whatever's happened to this Erdtree, it's weeping gold. And it does still seem to be a source of light, just like the Erdtree is in-game, except now it has a weak golden light that filters from behind its branches. At first, I thought it might be Miquella's Halig tree, which does seem to curve in a similar manner. And as we discussed in this video, Miquella's Halig tree is a sort of Erdtree, although it is an Erdtree that has already split and withered, so I'm not that drawn to this theory. And actually, if you look closely, it's almost as if there's two trees here. One that is straighter, like the Erdtree, that has a streak of gold within it, and the light filtering behind its branches. And then there's another tree that is almost twisting around it, almost as if it's strangling the Erdtree, and literally could be sapping the vitality from it. The only entity that I'd think would be capable of this, in the current game at least, would be Godwyn's Black Deathroot. This would certainly explain the color of the trees, the strangling behavior, and the sort of black falling decay that they have. And if Miquella is part of this DLC, then you'd think that Godwyn would be a part of things as well, considering how entwined their histories are. But of course, this is all just one line of speculation. You can go down so many. You can also try to think about when this event might occur.
We will definitely see Godwyn in the DLC, like we have to. It's the most mysterious figure, and let's not forget that when you go to those depths, Deep Root depths, I don't remember exactly how they're called, but there is one of those finger ladies that is mourning. She's like, "Oh, Godwyn, that I would witness your fall and still live to tell the tale." Like, she was depressed. She was like, such golden beauty. Like, she truly loved him. Like, he was loved. He was the first to perish, and that finger lady specifically was talking high of him, right? She was mourning him. And we have to see this. Like, there's no way they don't have Godwyn.
And I feel like you can make valid arguments.
So I don't really know if he will be an enemy or an ally.
For and against it being in almost every time period. If it's in the past, that explains Miquella's healthy state and Torrent being unsaddled by you, but then it doesn't explain the state of the Erdtree. And if it's in the future, then it might suggest that this takes place after you become Elden Lord.
Yeah.
But then, what if I chose the Frenzy ending? How does Miquella just take Torrent from you? Shouldn't Miquella's future be with Mohg? And then there's the theory that this could be some sort of alternate reality altogether. Whether that...
I personally think that there is one canon ending, and they will go with that canon ending. And I don't really think that the Frenzied Flame would be the canon ending that they would go with, because, I mean, it's boring. It's effective, but it's boring, right? It's, you kill everybody. Okay, congratulations. Now what? There is not a now what. Like, you don't go... You can end the final DLC like this, but you cannot end the base game with, okay, now there's nothing. As for Mohg and Miquella, we killed Mohg, and there was Miquella's carcass back there being, like, defiled, clearly. There is nothing tying Miquella, the entity, to saying that that's his only body. Because we know for the fact that his sister, Malenia, she died as a scar, and when she dies, she becomes like the flower blooms, okay? The flower blooms once more. So we know for a fact that she has died at least once, that time being us killing her, and one time in the past, if I recall correctly, from watching, like, you know, nerdy YouTube videos. In these games, the base game ending is usually the last thing chronologically. Then maybe that is the case, though I don't really think that, personally, right? I think maybe they would go with the normal ending, with, you know, you go there, you become Marika's consort or something. I don't know. We will see. We'll have to wait and see. But for when it comes to Miquella, I don't think that he is just bound to his body. Just like his sister can die and she can come back as you know, as the flower. She will bloom again. She will come back. This could happen with Miquella as well.
that's in the past, present, or future, and I quite like this idea, considering
The tree
Miquella
couldn't
has a
really be
whole
anything else
storyline
after it.
where they also exist
okay.
within some sort of dreamscape as their alias, which is Saint Trina. And also, the landscape here doesn't really look like the lands between that we know. The mountains seem too low, the wheat field seems too vast, so what if this is some sort of spirit realm? And speaking of spirit...
I don't know, like this thing reminds me of Limgrave in a sense, even though with different coloration, right? Which might also be a
So
symbol
what
of
if this is
Miquella's
some sort of
abundance or
spirit
plenty.
realm?
Okay.
And speaking of spirit realms, the Erdtree being black, and the spirit graves, and Torrent, who is also a spirit, these things make me want to talk about the black lampwood of the Helfen. To a lot of you, those random words I just said probably made no sense.
Yes.
They're actually words that only really show up in one item description. But if you weren't aware, the Helfen is described as being a sort of dark counterpart to the Erdtree in the sense that it also offers a type of guidance, except its guidance is offered to the heroic dead of the spirit world. We talk more about
Let's read
guidance.
this. Greatsword patterned after the black people of the Helfen, the lampwood which guides the dead of the spirit world. This lamplight is similar to grace in appearance, but only it said it can only be seen by those who have met their death in battle. We can get this sword. How did they get it? Is this like Maliketh's sword? Lich King sword, yeah.
To the heroic dead of the spirit world. We talk more about the Helfen and the Lampwood and this guidance in this video on death. So if you're interested in speculating down that particular rabbit hole, I'd recommend that video.
Mountaintops of Giants. Okay.
To be honest though, Shadow of the Erdtree is such an extremely evocative title that there really are so many things that I think it could be referring to. For example, a big part of me wonders if we're supposed to reject the first impression that this image gives us. Remember when Elden Ring's first cinematic trailer dropped and
Yes.
everyone thought that Radagon was shattering the Elden Ring? That's clearly what the trailer wanted you to think, considering the narration, but really, Radagon was actually repairing the Elden Ring, and the true story was way more complex. So I feel like we shouldn't rule out the possibility that this image might not depict the Erdtree dying. What if this image is instead depicting a scene from long ago, back when the Erdtree was first coming into existence?
So when it was... Yeah, but why would it be born like this? Why would it be born with darkness, like, weak? Or maybe it was corrupt since the beginning and Marika tried to cleanse it, like, or Marika Radagon, right? And that's why, like, we know that it resulted in the actual timeline being fucking corrupt, because, like, Marika wanted to keep being a god. This is speculation, by the way, right? Dropped by Timmy Marner on a ledge south, Castle of Sol, and northwest Sol Valley, ruins overlook. Oh, the guy with the big... Okay, got it. The guy that summoned the big boys. I hated that guy.
This is an idea I put forward in my earliest lore video for Elden Ring, and in that video I stated that an existing great tree might have been taken over by the parasitic golden Erdtree.
Yeah.
And I admit, I was way too sure of myself when I presented that theory. I basically presented it as fact, which was wrong. However, I still think that that theory has some validity, because
this tree was around the main, but yeah, the tree would crawl around the main tree. Like, there has to be a main tree for another tree to crawl around it, and trap it. So, in extent, the first tree was this one, and then came the other tree. It wouldn't make sense for the second tree to exist before the first one existed, and then the first one just grew there and it sucked it out.
We do know that a crucible of chaotic life existed within the primordial Erdtree, and we know that the crucible was related to great tree ornamentation, as shown by the Crucible Knights, and there are suggestions that the great tree roots are a distinct thing from Erdtree roots, so I do think that it's worth considering that a great tree existed before the Erdtree, and that the Erdtree might have taken it over in a sense. So I do want to cautiously put forward that theory again for consideration. However, moving on, last theory on the Erdtree, I do want to mention that shadow and darkness are
in this channel we love trees, Livana. Also, hello.
Kind of already related to the Erdtree via the two fingers. Despite how ironic that might sound, right? You wouldn't think that darkness and shadow are related to this tree that is all about warmth and light and abundance, but darkness does play a part. Servants of the Two Fingers were known to cast spells such as Darkness and Assassin's Approach, which helped them in assassinating the Tarnished that had strayed from the guidance of grace.
True.
Not to mention the Two Fingers being...
That's what the Confessors would do, by the way, lore-wise. Confessors were supposed to do just that. Kill Tarnished that have strayed away from the path. That's what they are. They're fanatic Paladino assassins. Like, they're not just like, you know, we're with the light. No, it's the exact opposite. Like, they don't really, like, they just follow the path and that's it. But they are killers.
Being these envoys of the greater will, were capable of bestowing beastly, living shadows to prominent characters, most notably Rani, who was given Blythe, and Marika, who was given Malakath. So the title could be referring to these shadows, but again, I really am throwing all kinds of ideas out now, so they really could be doing anything when it comes to the setting and the time period of it all. So what do you think? But moving on from the Erdtree and Torrent and their rider, what else do we see in this image? Well, again, there are these ghostly graves with holes in their center. And funnily enough, in a recent Secrets video, we talked about how From Software loves reusing these cut God's Grave assets from Dark Souls 3. And the asset actually has reappeared in Elden
I wouldn't know, I
Ring
haven't
already.
played Dark Souls
There's
3.
one grave just like these at Morn Castle.
Yeah, Castle Morn. Like, this is where you fight the Leon and the Misbegotten, right? The cat with the big boy sword.
Where you fight the Leonine Misbegotten.
Yeah.
It's also not the first instance of physical objects having a ghostly presence in the world. You can also see this in Leyndell with the ghostly flagpoles. And I'll be honest, I don't really know what this means beyond it being a sort of spiritual overlap of worlds, perhaps? Or maybe these are time periods that persist spiritually somehow? I don't know. And then you can also see a couple of stone coffins in the image as well. These stone coffins appear all over the lands between.
These things have like a rune arc 1 or like rune thing 1. Okay, this will give you like 30 runes.
And it's here that you might have picked up a ton of runes if you could have defeated the wolves that often guard these sort of cemeteries.
A ton of runes.
Anyway, I'm getting the vibe
like
that there's
very
going
generous.
to be quite a long wait until Elden Ring's DLC is ready. I'm kind of expecting the worst, but hoping for the best. But I don't really expect a trailer anytime soon. I think the next most likely time would be around Summer Games Fest in early June.
Okay.
But then they did drop this random announcement on a random Tuesday, so who knows what From Software is thinking.
Come on, dude, like they dropped this random announcement on a random Tuesday that was not so random because it was less than a week away from, you know, the 1-year anniversary, and everyone was complaining. They were like, yo, what's happening? Why do we not have news about this game? Like, we love this game, why do we not have this new... Like, it's 1-year-old game, why do we not have nothing about... Like, there is nothing happening, right? And they gave us this, that's why they told us.
Honestly. Anyway, before I fall asleep, I want to quickly talk to you guys about version 2 of my art book, which is Soul Arts, which is currently 10% off for you all until the end of March, as long as you enter the code SOULARTS10 at checkout. If you're unfamiliar, Soul Arts is designed to be the ultimate art book for any fan of From Software's games. It enshrines the hard work of over 100 artists and tells unique stories that are inspired by these games. The book is split into 5 chapters, and each asks a question. What if Bloodborne 2 was real? What if you could explore other lands in Dark Souls? What other prosthetic tools could Sekiro have used? What is beyond the broken 6th Archstone of Demon Souls? And what did we think Elden Ring would be back when we knew nothing? If you bought during the Kickstarter, you would have received version 1 of Soul Arts, which is still gorgeous with glossy pages and deep blacks and colors that look amazing in optimal
That's a
lighting
good looking
conditions.
book.
But version 2 uses a thicker, more matte paper that brings a few more details out of the darkness and makes for a slightly easier reading experience. But it's the same book in the end, even if it is a little bit thicker, and again, it's 10% off for a very limited time, so
Thick is always
make use
good.
of that by using the discount link in the description while you can. But thank you, as always, for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Alright, man, cheers. That was a good video. That was a good video. I don't think that he paid too much attention on the Godwin possibilities. Like, I would like him to have mentioned Godwin a lot more, because Godwin is something that I love. Godwin is like, I want to know more. What happened? Like, why was Kiki, like, I want to know everything about him, right? And I know that technically that's not how they do lore exactly. By the way, let me link this video into the chat while I'm talking about this, right? I like this video. I'm actually going to subscribe to Vaati. Like, this is cool. Should I click the bell? Let's click the bell. And let me like this video. Really, really good. Really good. You guys should check this thing out. Like, he has obviously paid a lot of attention and he has given a lot of time when it comes to these parts. Especially, like, consider how difficult it is. He has the premier lore dude for Souls games. Really? I thought we had like I was watching another guy that I don't remember his name right now. Small Town was the guy that I was watching. But yeah, this guy's phenomenal, and it's not easy. Like, it's not like, for example, Final Fantasy 14, where you have like all the lore in front of you, and you can just talk about this and speculate about it and have facts and events. Like this lore is just said via items. It's said via descriptions. It's said via dialogues of NPCs, right? It's amazing. It's amazing. I really like this video, and I'm really curious. I want to see Godwin. I want to see Mikola. Marika, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really simp for her, but like, if you look close, like, do we have an up close picture here? Because I remember he did check him out a bit closer. Like, you will see that the figure is a bit feminine. Like, there is no denying that. And the way that she's sitting, he addressed that part too. Like, it's sitting, or like, I don't know if it is a he or a she, right? But the person is sitting as if it is a lady. Like, this is how the ladies were supposed to sit, you know? On the horse, that's a courteous way to sit. But it could again be Mikola. And with the non-binary things being canon, like, that's how they address, like, there is no such thing as genders in this fucking game, right? So, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure if it's Marika. I'm hoping it's not. I'm hoping it's not. I'm hoping it's Mikola. I'm hoping he's gonna be back. I'm hoping he's gonna save his sister again. I'm hoping he will. Can you imagine if he like cleanses? Because what if Malenia comes back because she will bloom once more? What if he can cleanse her? What if he can recover all the corruption? Like, just fix it, right? What if we meet the Eldritch goddess, the Eldritch being of Rot? Not Malenia herself, but the being that has cursed her. It's just so many possibilities. I'm really excited about this. I hope it lives us up to its expectations. I stumble a bit upon my words there, but how can I not? Like, I love this picture. I love the golden hair as well. Like, it looks amazing. Anyway, that would be all.